Yeah, for more, let's welcome in Senior Research Fellow for the Defense Programs at the Center for National Defense, Dakota Wood, as well as Blankley Fellow at the Steamboat Institute, Dr. George Bogden. Good morning. Welcome to both of you, and we appreciate you being with us on Wake Up America Weekend. Dakota, the Biden administration has issued, my understanding is 500 different sanctions on Russia, mostly on the financial sector. Now, we've seen time and time again that a lot of these sanctions really don't have the effect that they're supposed to have. Some of them have practically no effect. But if not sanctions and not a military retaliation, what else can be done?
Dr. Bogden?
Dr. Bogden?
Oh, excuse me. I would say that we have to take very seriously what Sergei Lavrov said about sanctions, which is that basically they signal irritation, but they don't show a real foreign policy decision. And so when the Biden administration engages in sanctions activity, we can't expect Russia to radically change its position. Nonetheless, sanctions do help to deplete the coffers of Russia as it continues to carry on this war. And so it's an important step, but not one that's a panacea.
But, Dr. Bogdan, more than 300,000 Russians have died fighting in this war in Ukraine, and yet they still seem to be getting sent in every single day. How long can this continue? Will Putin ever get tired of just sending these young Russians, straight to their death?
Right. I think he's facing very serious political costs, and there are very significant ramifications within Russia for what's been going on. But unfortunately, he has the upper hand right now. The West has begun to falter, and he feels that there's momentum on his side. None of these are pleasant realities, but I think that for the time being, he has a lot of momentum behind him. And so it's going to be quite a war of attrition for the coming year. And as we decide whether more aid is going to be sent, that I think has to be central to the decision making, how to prevent him from having a real rout in the country.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And, we were both in country reporting on the ground when the war, a full-scale war, really first started. And one of the things that we both noticed was the resolve of the Ukrainian people, but their ranks are depleting also. Ukraine has been doing absolutely incredible job of holding Russia back so far, but recently, they've been struggling to replenish their recruits. They really are weighing if it will expand its conscription now to encompass people 25 years of age. So, Dr. Bogdan, what else can the country really do at this point to ensure that it has enough manpower out in the field on the front lines?
Well, I think that President Zelensky has made a kind of distinction in his address between those who have decided to leave the country and those who've decided to stay. And he's made an appeal to those who want to come back to the country, that their manpower, their ability to contribute to the war, that's actually needed now. And so that kind of transition, I think, is taking place in his rhetoric. In terms of ensuring that the front line is well manned, I think those are strategic and tactical choices. Before that recent victory that you mentioned in the intro into this segment, I think there was also the tremendous loss of Avdiivka, which had been, sort of disputed in the war for a long time. And so that's where we see, the really difficult decisions being made about where to send people, because every place that you emphasize on a front is going to lead to potential weaknesses elsewhere. And so, Ukraine has always been in a disadvantageous position given the asymmetry of Russia's resources, but it's been able to deploy those resources in an effective way, and that's part of the question. So,
I want to talk about funding now, because this is a controversial topic among most Americans. But Iran is a large backer of Russia and provides it a lot of military equipment, which, obviously makes this very difficult for the Ukrainians, who are exclusively relying on foreign assistance themselves. So is it, even though a lot of people, they don't want money, US money going in to this war anymore, is it not an investment, though, to continue to arm Ukraine? Because it's not just against Russia now, but also our number one adversary, Iran.
Right. I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, we could list the number of American adversaries that are getting involved in this fight. North Korea is sending Russia munitions, shells. I think that part of the problem is that President Biden has failed to exert leadership, to project a vision of victory, to give Americans confidence that one more aid package is going to lead to a decisive victory. And so long as that kind of vacuum of rhetorical influence is there, we're going to continue to see that skepticism that you mentioned creeping in. Now, I'm hopeful that the aid package that passed the Senate may someday find its way through the House, but it's going to be a really vicious battle there politically, because there are many people who don't see the nexus between the war in Ukraine and American national security interest.
Yeah.
And if I could I just want to add something, because I've been speaking to a lot of my Republican colleagues that I had served with in the House, and I think you have a couple of issues all converging at the same time. The one issue is they're saying they want the border closed and deal with our domestic issue, and then they can talk about funding. But they also want to see what is the full plan and the strategic, it's not laid out. Do you just keep throwing money if you don't know what the plan is? So I think that's a valid pause to say, hey, we do see the value in funding Ukraine, but, Mr. President, what is our plan here? Do we have one? So just to add to that, it's not just a lack of not wanting to stop Putin.
I think Dr. Bogden also agreed with you on that, on the lack of plan, though, there from
exactly. But, Doctor, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. And sorry we couldn't get the comms went down for Dakota Wood, but we'll have them on next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Have a great weekend.
You as well.
Too.